Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's happening, man? I hope you guys are doing great today, man. My day is going just fine. Check this out. Before we get this video podcast started, if you would, please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers and for those of us who are still bound down to this struggle, man, that keeps us from moving forward in this toxic life that we live in, man. So yeah, if you would, please join me in a moment of silence. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. All right. Well, now that we got that squared up, we'll check this out, man. Thank you for joining me in today's podcast video, man. Today's segment. What I want to talk to you guys about today is the part of recovery in restoring one's self-view of your identity, of you, it's basically an understanding, the complex relationship between the addiction, identity and the new you. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately that is what we're doing in recovery, is we're changing this identity of this mindset that has you acting a certain way. You know what I mean? And in order to do that, you have to really look deep within you and understand you. You really have to study oneself, and I like to always kind of use the analogies of spirituality, and in some religions, they always say that this thing that somebody's looking for, whether you want to call it faith or the energy or the light or whatever, right? And they always say it's going to come from within you. It comes from within you. And I don't think that that's a mistake. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that that's a mistake that all these religious sects and spiritual people always say that. You know what I'm saying? That it's something that comes from within. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, I think that to progress in recovery and cut and eliminate suffering in the sense of these things that keep us bound down, these habitual patterns that we have that keep us in these depressed modes, in these addictive modes, in these anger modes, in these depression modes, in these suicidal thought modes, all of that kind of stuff all depends on how you perceive yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's a mental thought process on how you perceive oneself. So if you feel like, there's people out there who feel that they're not, worthy of, X, Y, or Z, or I can never amount to this, or, nobody loves me enough, or I'll never find that perfect person, or I'll never find this job, or they're always in this, I will never be able to do something, so they're in this kind of, when you say things like that and you're in that type of mindset, well, that is your limitation. You're putting limits to you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't believe that there should be limitations to anyone. I believe that we are built in a way that is of infinite things and possibilities, right? Because if we believe that we are somehow connected to this divine thing, whatever you want to call it, you want to call it a God, you want to call it an energy, you want to call it a light, a spiritual presence, whatever, you know what I mean? If we're supposed to be connected to something like that, then that means we have infinite possibilities to do that. You know what I'm saying? And the world that we live in, this toxicity that we live in, is that film of delusion, you know what I mean, that keeps us from looking past these things of the material world, in a sense that we are people who live through our sensory organs, you know what I'm saying? And when I say that, when I say that we're people who live through our sensory organs, we are people who live to what we see, feel, hear, taste, touch, smell. Those are the types of things that move our lives. Those are the types of things that click that mindset going. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a visual thing and a thing that you hear and touch and sense and all that kind of stuff. And it has to do with your environment. How you were raised, where you come from, what you're living in now, your current situation. All of those things are factors in that identity of you. You know what I'm saying? And for a lot of us, we don't like where we're at. You know what I mean? A lot of us, especially the people who struggle with addiction, like myself, you know, there's parts of you that you don't like. Those parts of you that you need to change. Otherwise, you stay in this habitual pattern. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that you know, there's quite a few ways to approach that situation. You know what I mean? And you know how the addiction influences identity and what kind of steps you can take or can be taken in to restore a positive self-view of oneself during recovery. There's quite a few things that you can do, and you know, let me pull up some of these things that I wanted to share with you, and you know, because there's addiction is deeply intertwined with self-perception. You know, it leads people to identify primarily when you're an addict, you automatically identify yourself as that. You know what I'm saying? And then especially when you have other people coming in and maybe it's your immediate circle or whatever, and they say, oh, this dude, all he does is, you know, he's not going to amount to anything because all he does is drink, or all he does is use, or all they do is, you know, whatever the situation is, right? So it kind of puts this mental thing into you and kind of puts this cap of limitation on you. You know what I'm saying? And for a lot of us, you know, we don't want to deal with that feeling. We don't want to, you know, so we go to what's comfortable for us, and that's the use of whatever it is that you're addicted to, right? And some people could be shopping, some people could be eating, some people, it could be, you know, sex, some people it could be drugs, alcohol. You know, there's many different addictions and how people cope with situations and the environment that they put themselves in. You know what I'm saying? And so what I want to do is just kind of throw a few, you know, complex things that you can adopt, these strategies, if you will, to restore a positive self-view during a process of recovery, a process of during this process of rebuilding this habitual pattern into something that's of divine and positive and good energy. You know what I'm saying? And you know, a few of the things that you can do is engage in self-forgiveness. You know, acknowledge past mistakes and learn from them. This step is crucial for shedding guilt that often accompanies addiction. You know what I mean? Engaging in self-forgiveness is a big step. You know what I'm saying? Because when you engage in self-forgiveness, man, well, what you're doing is, that is such a beautiful sign, because what it means is that you give a shit. You know, excuse my language, but it means you care. You know what I mean? It means you showing compassion and love for you, because that's where it starts. You know what I'm saying? You can't get past any adversity. I don't care what it is. It doesn't even have to be addiction. You know what I mean? You can't get past anything unless you are compassionate and caring and loving to you first. You got to care about you. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't care about you, how can you care and show that love to someone else? It just doesn't happen, man. You know what I'm saying? So that right there is, self-forgiveness is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? In my book anyway, and in my opinion. And anyway, and also you can do is practice mindfulness. And there's techniques such as mindfulness and journaling can help individuals tune into their thoughts and emotions, facilitating better awareness. What mindfulness does, it brings you into the here and now. You know what I'm saying? It brings you to the forefront where you're confronting life on life's turf, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? You're not confronting the life with things that already happened in the past or things that you want to happen in the future. Because when you're doing stuff like that, if you're living life like thinking about things that already happened to you, or the things that you've already gone through, and you're struggling with, life because you keep putting your mindset is over there, or if it's in the front of you, where it's like, man, I got to do this, and I need to do this for this, or I need to do this for that, whatever. When you're doing those two things, you're living in a mindset of non-existence. You're living for things that don't exist. You know what I'm saying? So how can you focus on you and focus on the here and now when you're living in this delusion? You know what I'm saying? So what mindfulness does, it brings you to the present, dealing with things that are right in front of you, dealing things that are within your, right there, within your grasp of your sensory organs. You know what I'm saying? Which is the feeling, the touching, the seeing, the smelling, the tasting, and it goes through to mental things. You know what I'm saying? And those are the things that you wanna bring to the forefront in that mindfulness is interact with that, because when you're doing that, that means you're interacting with the immediate problem. You know what I'm saying? And when you're interacting with the immediate problem, man, you're gonna find that the results are gonna be a whole lot faster, because now you're working on you. You know what I'm saying? You're working with changing that mindset, changing that way you think, you behave, and that sort of thing. So that's a very good thing to do, man. And the next one is explore interest. You can explore interest in rediscovering hobbies and interest. Can reclaim a sense of identity. Engaging in activities apart from addiction fosters fulfillment. You know what I mean? And that exploring the interest, man, that to me is a really big one, because just to use my own personal experiences, man, I had to change a whole lot of things in my life. You know what I mean? I actually had to do a whole 360-degree change. You know what I mean? There's nothing that I was doing in the addiction that I'm doing now. Nothing. Everything that I do today is totally spiritual, of divine nature, and of positive nature, and of good karmic energy, man. That's what I do now. And it's mainly, for me, it's engaging in these communities, engaging in these peer support groups, engaging in the therapy, engaging in my Buddhist practice, engaging in just the community of like-minded people. You know what I'm saying? And that for me has been probably one of the best things that has helped me in my personal journey. But anyway, let's go on. And also is building community connections and utilize therapy are the last two. And like I said, the building the community connections, man, that at first is going to be a little bit of a hesitant kind of struggle. I mean, it was for me personally, because I know that I entered these rooms of just different peer support groups, different communities of 12-step programs and that sort of thing. And it was kind of hard at first, to get used to new people, new language, new things that people do when they're not using. You know what I'm saying? And it's just these whole other attitudes that come along with it, because you're like, okay, because early recovery attitudes can be a little overwhelming, you know what I'm saying? And then some of the hardcore veterans, that are as far as what I mean by that is that the hardcore people who have a lot of years under their belt of sobriety or of eliminating that habitual practice. And, those guys are firm in their beliefs, you know what I mean? Whether they're male or female, they're firm in their beliefs, and the way they did it, they believe that's it, you know what I'm saying? And which is fine, you know what I mean? That's what that's their service work, and that's what they preach, and that's good because that's what worked for them. But I know that for myself, a lot of those types of individuals, I couldn't connect with. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't mesh well with that. And so just be advised that you're gonna have to jump from room to room. You know what I mean? It's gonna and find one that fits your needs. Find one that fits your personality, man. Because ultimately, that's what you're gonna have to do, and you'll find, man. You'll trust me on this. You'll find a place that you feel comfortable, that you feel at home, and that's when you find that place, you're gonna know, and then you'll start to flourish. You know what I mean? Then your recovery will start accelerating a little bit better. You know what I mean? A little bit more, and then things, will start moving along. But anyway, also utilizing therapy, man. There's a bunch of therapy that you can do for any type of addiction, trauma, depression, anxiety, whatever it is that the problem is. There's communities out there that your county, that the place that you live in, they have programs for these things. You know what I'm saying? They because they know that it's an issue in our communities, that people struggle with things like that. People struggle with depression. People struggle with isolation. People struggle with addiction. People struggle with mental health. You know what I'm saying? And it's a big issue in today's world. So there are programs that are free. There's programs that are free that you can go out and attend. And there's these events. I know that in my city, there's the city of San Antonio. They have a bunch of events that they deal with these types of issues. Mental health is a big thing, man. And so don't think that you'll be left out in the dark. But at the same token, just remember this, man, is that you're gonna have to put in some work. You know what I'm saying? If you want that habitual pattern, if you want that part of you that is keeping you from moving forward in your life, and you know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows if they're struggling with whatever it is that they're struggling with. Each individual knows exactly what it is that's keeping them bound down. And that means that you have to look within you. You have to find you. You know what I'm saying? And that's ultimately, you have to come clean with you. You know what I'm saying? And what better way to do that, to come clean with you, because you don't have to lie to you. You know what I'm saying? It's okay, because it's just you and you. You know what I'm saying? It's the habitual you, and it's the person that wants to change you. You know what I mean? And when you start interacting there and picking out the things that you know that are an issue for you, and then finding resources to help you with that is the way to do it. Because ultimately, you have to get into some sort of pattern. You have to take some sort of first step. You know what I'm saying? And this whole process is a mental change. You know what I'm saying? It's a mental change, but the mental change can't come unless your environment changes. Your mental capacity will change then. You know what I mean? And you have to be open-minded, honest, and willing to the new change also. You know what I'm saying? So it means that you got to be vulnerable. But if you're watching a video like this, that means you are. You have a little bit of vulnerability, and that's all it takes, man. It's just that little bit. You know what I'm saying? All it takes is a little bit of vulnerability for that good thing, that good karmic energy to start seeping in and plant a seed in you in that mental thought process, and you'll start realizing, and things will start coming your way if you start opening up that window of vulnerability a little bit more and a little bit more. day by day. You know what I'm saying? And it's a process, you know what I'm saying? It's a process, but it's in a process that is attainable in a fair amount of time. Don't think that you're going to be stuck in this whole thing for years of trying to discover you know what I'm saying? It all depends on how much work you put into it. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, it depends on how much you want to take a dive into that mud and get yourself out of it. You know what I'm saying? But it happens. You know what I'm saying? And the way it happens is by repetition, man. Repetitious is a big thing that you have to do things on the daily basis and connect yourself with a good environment. You know what I'm saying? A good community, and connect yourself with things that are going to flourish your mindset, and the fact that you need to pour in good educational and good wisdom of good divine and good karmic and positive energies, man. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, if you have all these negative things and dark things that you keep putting into your mental thought process, well, then those are the actions that are going to come out of what you do. You know what I'm saying? So just understand that the working on that identity, man, is a big thing in early recovery. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us tend to, gravitate to the normal way that we want to deal with things, the things that we're so used to. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, the things that are so used to are normally the things that have gotten us to where we're at in these situations. You know what I'm saying? So that means somewhere along that line, there's something in you that needs to be changed, and to put good spiritual divine energy into that. Well, there's really, I don't see nothing of a negative thing that will be coming out of something like that. You know what I mean? That's when you put good things, good spiritual and divine things into your life, man. Well, you'll see that your life will prosper and your mental capacity starts getting cleansed, man. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately, that's what you're doing, is you're cleansing out that mental thought process of yours. Because if you're in early addiction, the delusion of the mental capacity is just so hectic sometimes that it takes time. You know what I'm saying? But doing things on a repetitive basis is key. You know what I'm saying? And engaging yourself in that community, engaging yourself in new possibilities and stuff like that will definitely start you on that right path and keep you on that path if you're already in recovery. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just wanted to kind of that's what I wanted to share with you guys today, is a little bit of that, self-identity, looking for that identity that you want, that change. And, because identity and recovery are hand in hand. You know what I'm saying? You can't have good recovery without that new identity. You know what I'm saying? You have to let go of the old identity. That's just, there's no way around that. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't mean that you have to, give up your whole life. You know what I'm saying? But you're going to know, once you start getting this energy and these things into your mental thought process, start cleansing that thought process out, you'll understand what you need to get rid of. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? Everybody knows themselves if they take time to dig in to that mental capacity of oneself, and they know what they got to change and what they got to bring in. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. But anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you guys found it somewhat helpful, and hopefully it ignites a little fire in somebody today. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. But so I appreciate you guys watching the video, man. I really do. And if you would, please, at this time, give me a thumbs up, shoot me a comment, hit the subscribe button, man. Just know that when you do hit that subscribe button, it doesn't cost you a thing, man. It don't cost you a thing at all. But you know what? You'll be helping out another veteran, another homeless person, another person dealing with PTSDs, childhood traumatic experiences, trauma, depression, drug addiction, alcoholism, anger issues, suicidal thoughts, all of those types of things, my friends, because you know what? I have dealt with all of those things at one point in time in my life. And guess what, man? I know a way out. And my way out could be your way out. But I guess so. Just please share the channel and subscribe. And yeah, so I guess until the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.